Today's show is brought to you by Barracuda's Locust Point Tavern, located at 1230 East Ford Avenue, Baltimore. Come down and see Billy Hughes. He's been a chef for over 30 years. Barracuda also has daily specials. The codfish cakes are great. I was down there last week, and I had the fish tacos. Brilliant. Billy puts out a great dish, great atmosphere, friendly. What more else do you want from a place? Neighborhood bar and restaurant. Hi, I'm Tim Whitman. This is the Espresso Soccer Show. I think it's our fifth one, right, Morgan? Our fifth show. Today, I have Ashley Myers and Erica Suter, a.k.a. Erica Kristen. Do you have any other names?
Just Erica Suter.
But I see Erica Kristen on Facebook.
That's my middle name. Okay. I just don't want people to find me.
You don't?
I don't want
well, I don't know. You're on Facebook an awful lot. A little bit of background about both these people. Ashley, right, went to John Carroll for 4 years. Obviously, you graduated from high school. Mm-hmm. Twice All-American, correct? Mm-hmm. Twice All-American. That's great. And then she went off to college at Penn State. Mm-hmm. Yes. And then here's where. Then you went somewhere else, though, right? To college?
Yeah, I had a medical redshirt year my freshman year.
Okay.
I graduate from Penn State. So
Did you? Okay.
I graduated and then went to grad school at UNCW and played 1 year there.
So did you redshirt 1 year at Penn State?
My freshman year at Penn State.
Okay, that's okay.
Yep.
So what do you have? 5 years?
Yeah.
5 years. Okay.
Yep.
And then you went off to play pro a little bit.
Yeah,
Yes?
I was in Reykjavik, Iceland in 2010, and then decided after like 7 or 8 years that I wanted to play again, which is crazy. I went in with the Spirit just for preseason.
Okay.
Was not signed, but then went to Brisbane, Australia in 2017. Yeah, 2017.
Brilliant. I mean, we'll get back to all that, okay, a little bit. So that's a little bit, and you're a technical director.
Yes.
Am I correct? Right.
Yep.
A technical, and that is for all the ages. From what ages are you a technical director for right now?
We started around 6 or 7 and go all the way up
To
to go to
17.
college. Yep.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Yep.
And it's at the Union.
Yes, Baltimore Union.
Is that an affiliation with Philly?
No.
No affiliation.
No
okay.
affiliation.
This is White Marsh, towards the White Marsh area, right?
Yep.
Okay. Great.
Yep.
Erica, right? Erica, I know Erica from playing at college when I was helping the coach there. I was assistant coach there for 8 years, and Erica was there obviously for four of those 8 years, and that's how I got to know Erica. And her background is River Hill, correct?
Yeah,
River Hill, All-American there.
Yep.
And then I know you were All-American Hopkins, second leading scorer.
Yes.
Yes, second. I know
Think
she's
so.
not happy with that. There was another girl,
Hannah.
Hannah, right? Hannah was there when I was also there too,
Yeah.
right? Erica, great heart, hard drive, right? Sometimes a little bit hard-headed, right? But when she came to play, she wanted to play, and you know, I loved her attitude, I loved her spirit, right? She would always ask me these questions. Tim, she'd come up, Tim, what are we going to do here? What are we going to? And I would I'd have to, oh my gosh, right? But she had a nose for goal, and you know, she took that into now your personal trainer, more than a personal trainer, strength and conditioning coach, right?
Yeah, I'm a strength and conditioning coach for all athletes, all clubs. I work at a performance facility at Cockeysville.
Just there or freelance anywhere else?
So I freelance and do consulting online. So I work with people in Europe and across the United States.
I mean, she's easy to find, right? She's easy to find. Look on Facebook, she puts out something almost every day.
Yes.
Don't you almost every day? And she'll say her piece. She used to really say her piece, and now she's into the real world, and she works with kids and adults. She works with everyone, right? So the reason I wanted these two people on, one, not to be old school, but I wanted to feel a female perspective, right? I mean, I get the guy sitting in here, and it's this bravado and, you know, some old school stuff. So these girls are a little younger, a lot younger than me, and I wanted to see where their thoughts came from, and the history that they have, their background, what they have is quite impressive. So whether you're a male, female, kid, adult, it doesn't matter. They're going to have some good input on this. So my first question to both of you, and I haven't told any of them the question. They're nervous. They're a little nervous because they're afraid, where is this going to go? All right. And like with some of the other people, it went different. So I don't like telling the guest any questions for the fact that then I don't want it too scripted, right? I want this kind of live. So feel free to not answer anything, or answer whatever you want. If you have questions for me, please ask me, okay?
Sure.
So where you've come from, what you've done, what you're doing right now, okay? I'll start off with you, Erica. What are you trying to change as far as, what are you doing this for? Okay, obviously you love the game, right? We love doing it. It keeps us alive. You know, we're doing something that not many people can do. But there's got to be something in your mind. You say, okay, I'm doing this for this reason. I want to make a difference doing A, B, or C. I've got into the game. When I played, there was a freedom, right? When you play, you know there's a freedom there to where it's you. And no one else is around that can change you, right? People help you, but it comes down to you changing it, right? On that field, you're in charge. And that's what I loved about it. And so then the next best thing for me was coaching. And I love the coaching aspect because I couldn't play anymore. And there was a freedom. There was working with people. There was figuring out people. It always changed. The game changed. And then you felt alive. So when I was coaching, when I was playing, it was more about me. I hate to say it, and everybody says, yeah, there's a team, there's a team, there's a team. You're within that team. You got to do your part, and then the team does better, right? If you're working within that structure. So that was about me. And then when I started coaching, it's still about you, what you get the feedback, but it was more or less that what you're putting out there, that they're receiving, and when you see them receive that and they get a high out of that, or they get something out of it and it works, you get that feeling back because you feel that's empathy. That's what we're talking about, empathy. So that now in turn makes me feel better and feels good. So there was something there. That's why I do it. That's why am I doing this? You know, we've talked about this before. Why do I have to do this? I don't have to do it. It's my thing. I can go wherever I want. I can talk to interesting people and learn. And you know, I get something out of this when I go. And so that's why I don't know what I know what I'm going to ask you, but we see where it goes because, again, I don't want it's scripted and then I already know it, and who cares, right? So this is a little different. So getting back to this, digress, but what are you trying to get out of it, Erica?
Well, from a young age, I just loved the game, and just like you, I felt liberated when I played. And I felt I could really be immersed in the present moment, and I wasn't thinking about school or stress in my life. I was just very like in the zone and in my flow, and I felt I could be creative and be myself. And I just always loved getting out in my front yard and practicing, and it was an escape for me.
Right, it is.
And it was something that just brought me so much joy, and I felt like I was in control of my life. And I just wrote a pretty personal article about this, and soccer definitely kept me out of a lot of negative things, whether that's certain friendships or just things you can get into in high school that aren't good for you. So it was just a very positive force in my life, and it still is today. And that's why I coach a lot of youth athletes. I want to permeate that message onto them to, you know, it doesn't have to be soccer, but they have to find something that brings them joy and that they can be creative with and they can feel like they're in the present moment. So it's pretty simple why I do it, and it's just all about the joy and happiness that comes from it.
You know, it's not necessarily, it's not so simple. It's the idea behind it is simple, right? That you're enjoying something, but how many of us can find that? I think the majority can't, right? And because life gets in the way. I mean, there's kids, there's money, there's bills, there's all these things, and not a lot of people are that fortunate to be in positions as yourself. And I think this is where people take advantage of. They don't realize it, what they have and the power they have. Okay, so we'll go back to that too.
Yeah, so I mean, I can certainly relate to both of those things, just the aspect of it being an escape and a passion for me growing up. I think at some point, my personal experience, it became very performance
driven, right?
Driven. You know, how much can I achieve? How far can I get? What's the next step? Where do I go from here? You know, so I got very performance driven. And I think for me in coaching, The difference is, I think, after my playing experience to now coaching experience, it's a lot more transformational instead of transactional, meaning it's relational for me. It's my passion meets people, so it's a chance. It's about the people.
It's
about the relationships.
It's a different type of performance.
Yes,
right?
and I would have to say, as a player, I was pretty much willing to do whatever it took to achieve something.
Sure.
As a coach, I find myself not. I love to win. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I care much more about my players than I do about the win, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So kind of more of a holistic approach as a coach.
Is it because when you're playing that it's you? It's you that has to perform and hit certain levels, and to be a little bit, I shouldn't say selfish, we're all selfish, right? People take that as a negative, being selfish. I don't mean selfish and not caring about anything else, but things come back to you, make you feel a certain way, your emotions, your feelings, you know. And like we go back to empathy, right? Empathy, you pretend you're doing something. No, I shouldn't say you're pretending, but people say, well, I'm doing it for them. It's all about the kids. I disagree. I do think those kids give you something.
Oh, of course.
They give you this feeling. So in turn, that is selfish. It brings it back onto you, which we all, that's how we survive. So you're, in a sense, you players, or when we're younger and we want to survive, that's kind of crude but to say that, but we want to survive. So the only way to do that is to hit these certain levels. Am I correct? I want to be this. I want to, because I want to go to college. I want to have friends. I want to be on top because I get this from it. Okay? So it's a different drive. So now that you don't have, that's not in your world anymore, right? Now, but if you become a coach on a professional team, or you're a coach where you're getting paid, right, to perform, now that starts to sway back to when you were a player. It's going to be that same type of performance as a technical director, right, as a performance coach, right, and a coach. That's different. We're thinking as a whole, how do we get the most out of each one of these kids? So it's almost, in a sense, I don't know whether you want to say, it's not hypocritical. It's not. It's because we want to win, and we need to do this. But then on the other side, we know that it's not always a positive thing. How do we create that balance?
Right.
Right.
It's all about balance,
and that's the hard part, because there's a fine line. I can remember coming home after games, and I'm thinking, oh my God, and I'd smash my windshield, right? Because all this pressure, my family, my father would say, boy, do you wear glasses? Right? That's the first thing he would say to me. Do you wear glasses? I'm thinking, bitch, right? I'm so pissed off. Why would you have to say that to me? I know I'd missed these goals, or I didn't do this, or did, and I hear this, and then friends. But as soon as you do well, everybody wants to be around you, and so on, so on. So there's that pressure on top of you,
100%.
and we deal with it in different ways. But there's a fine line. I needed that edge.
Well, and I think my experience has shown that the delivery as a coach, you can get the same thing out of a player by delivering it differently. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So
what do you mean?
instead of
Okay,
being
but I'm going to
negative-
ask you, what do you mean? Yeah, well, go ahead. See now,
So
okay, 1 second. Okay,
Sure.
1 second. Remember this. Remember this. Okay.
Yeah.
We forget to do this. Cup.
Oh gosh.
Gotta get the cup. We do this every
Already
time.
had too much.
It's called the Espresso Soccer Show. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. I finally found people that like espresso. She's on her 6th one.
No, I'm
right?
not.
What's that? 4, right? 4.
Yeah.
A 4
I'm
shot.
gonna start doing this soon.
You know me. I can only have one.
No judgment here.
Okay, but anyway, go ahead.
Oh, I just think, when you, it's the delivery. So I think a lot of coaches sometimes can use like shame to kind of get a player to do what they want. And I think that I think there's ways that you can encourage a player or get the same result and deliver it in a different way.
I agree 100%.
Yep.
Okay, so, but what are we're talking about the stress. We need, if you weren't pushed, right? If you weren't trying to perform or hit this certain level, and with that comes people competing against you, people wanting your job, people putting you down, staying away from trouble. All these things get involved, right? And they're very stressful.
Yep.
But you needed a certain amount of stress to go to that next level.
I agree.
I agree with that.
You have to do that. And it's not always fun. But where does that, we're talking about the balance, if it's too fun sometimes, right? And I think coaches and people, they take fun and discipline, and it's different. Discipline, some people say, we've talked about this before, is bah, 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 you got to do, and they're hard about. That's not discipline. Discipline's showing up every day, doing your work, working 100%, right? That's one thing. Fun, right? That's part of your fun. What you get that high after that when you worked on that accomplishment, you feel that high, right? There's a motivation there. There's the releasing of neurotransmitters after this is all accomplished. That's your high,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, and I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
I'm not talking about that. I just mean there's a way to push a player without.
Sure.
For instance, anyone that trains with me will tell you it's disciplined and difficult. But I'm not going to tell you, hey Johnny, you suck today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Slow. I'm going to say, I'm going to have a real face-to-face with you. Like, these are your goals, Johnny. If you want to achieve them, this is what it takes.
Right.
This is what you have to do.
And I don't think balance exists. I really don't.
No, balance as far as balance and equal, or you're talking about like trying to get some kind of, you don't want to be Eastern thought. Is philosophy, you don't want to be too high, you don't want to be too low, and that's when you're in the zone. You don't? Good, cool.
It's controversial because everyone's like, oh, you just got to find balance, but it doesn't exist. If you're a high performer,
yes,
whether that's an athlete who wants to play professional or D1, or
whatever level, right, whatever that
someone
level.
who hosts a soccer show,
well,
there's really no balance. There's no balance with this because there's all this work that goes on the back end. You have to show up. You have to be consistent with your show, or if you're a player, you have to be consistent with your practice. You have to do what's not expected of you,
right?
And you have to push yourself even further.
Okay, so I'm going to interject a little bit. Where the balance, I think that is, yes, that is, and you are performing at a high level. So I can, and I'm just going to go back to what I know and what I've been through, and then also when helping other people, what they've gone through. So I'm only giving you my opinion, and it may not be right or wrong, all right? But I can remember at that high level, and as I was telling you, I was in the car, I was mad, and then I would have to go away. I didn't mind living out of the city, or even if I'd have to get away. And so why did I have to get away? What do you think the reason I had to get away for was?
I think it's because you just had to find yourself again.
Well, I had to need that balance, right? Because I'm here,
Yeah.
and then I need to pull away from that because it's too much. It's like a car revving 100 miles an hour all the time. Something's going to break, right? And the thought, and then it's going to be this competitive, and I can't actually get it pulled back and think what's wrong or what's right. So there's somewhere where you're going to have to say, okay, I'm here. I got to come back down, and then hopefully now when I'm ready to rev up, I can rev up.
And
right?
I think that's more self-awareness than balance.
You do, that's self-aware, but I think, okay, so we're just using different types of words. I know what you're saying. You're right, like in a marriage or in a relationship, it's got to be equal, 50, it's never, you know what I mean? It just isn't, right? So I think this is what maybe you're saying a little bit. Yeah, but we're trying to find something to where we're not here all the time because it's impossible.
Yeah.
And through your background, right? Can you be 100% all the time?
Oh, absolutely not.
And do you push kids 100% all the time? Not 100% here, right, when they're there, but can they do that constantly? What will happen?
No, they can't. But like when we're recovering and when we're taking time off, we're doing that to the extreme too.
Right.
So,
That's
like,
that. But
yeah.
you're recovering. You're not. Your body physically isn't going. Zzz. And you know what? I don't believe your mind is any different than your body. Right? If I sever a certain part of your brain, you're not going to be able to use that anymore. You're not going to be able to think the same way you did before. So it's a physical thing that's happening when I do that. So thought process, right, is, things shooting off, neurons shooting off, synapses happening, all these things are happening at one time, and that's all physical. So if the body's going 100 miles an hour all the time, what do you think the brain's doing? Something's got to shut down. Something's going to be overload, like obsessive compulsive. That's an overload of the brain working, and it can't get that thought pattern out, and it becomes stressful, becomes depression, the body gets weaker. So all these things, when you're revving 100 miles an hour all the time. So again, getting back to that balance, how do we do that? And you're talking about recovery. There's a certain way, you're not going zzz, with recovery, you're coming down, maybe it's breathing, maybe it's stretching, maybe it's some type of movement, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's whenever I feel like I'm pushing myself too hard, I'm really aware of it because my mood changes and my friends can tell, and then my relationships suffer, and I'm just like, you know, I need to just like take a step back.
Right.
But like a part of like, you know, my success and my players' success is because they also push themselves. And they got there for that reason, but then when you get there, that's when you need the self-awareness.
And
that's when you need to know, like, hey, like, this is what works for me. This is how I like come back to myself and find my passion again and my authenticity. And it's really about self-awareness, and it's something
you
can't teach people that. Like, you can't.
But you may be able to. You may be able
to
like
ask questions, the right questions.
But that in itself's hard because, okay, so you deal with kids. You deal with a lot of kids, right? If I was a little bit more self-aware, or if I had guidance back then, right, from people like yourselves, maybe I wouldn't have had 12 surgeries.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe I wouldn't have went through certain things at that particular time. Maybe could have bettered my career a little bit more. And I think while you're playing and you are going 100 miles an hour and I gotta perform, it's so hard to pull back because one, now it's changed threefold. Everything's threefold, right? We went in the backyard, no one told us anything, and that was the end of it. But so now you have that ability, but it's hard to take that in as a kid. To understand and say, I'm going to pull back when, if I pull back, well then Joey's not pulling back, right? Susie's not pulling back. So how am I going to beat this person and get this scholarship and go pro and blah? I got to go again. I got to keep on going. I used to run from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the summer, at the top of the heat. I thought, again, you would say, you both would say, you're an idiot. No, you wouldn't say you're an idiot, but that's not the smartest thing to do because my thought process was, if I can handle that, well, then I can handle it anytime.
No, I did the same thing as a player. Stupid stuff, because I was like, I'm the hardest working one right now. It's a mental thing.
Now, was it like because of like a lack of guidance, or was it just you like?
I think. Well, go. I'm sorry. Go.
Because that's what I'm wondering as far as like coaching nowadays.
Yeah, I think he knows my dad. I think my dad pushes. But there's some great things that came out of that.
Yeah.
But I think it was just. I mean,
that's
you're a competitive person.
Yeah.
You get sucked into the competitiveness, and you want to be the best. So what makes you better than the next person?
Working harder.
You're not doing that at 12 or 2 or you know what I mean.
And that competitiveness, it's a good thing at times.
But it can turn on you.
It can turn on you.
So this is what I'm trying to say is that. That wasn't the smartest thing to do at that particular.
But that's where I see balance coming into.
Yes.
That's where I see balance coming into play.
But I'm a young kid. I'm 14, 15, whatever it is, and I'm not listening. Well, I didn't listen to anybody really, unless I thought it was a guy who played pro. This is my thought. He played pro. He's done it. I'm going to listen to him. Yep. I didn't have any. Once in a great while, a pro player would come over to the park or whatever, and then I would try to soak up everything. But he didn't know me. I was 10 years old, whatever. So I didn't have that. Yep. But it's so hard when genetically or physically you're this way, and you want to push. You're talking about competitiveness, and you're pushing and you're pushing. How do you two tell you or me when we were younger, hey, this isn't work. I shouldn't say this isn't work, because it was working, because I did succeed in the game, so that was working. How am I going to say it's beneficial, I should say?
From my view, I think it's experience. I can give them several reasons of how I took myself out from overtraining or doing stupid things.
Yeah.
And I can think of several other examples of players that
you can point towards and say,
did
look, this-
dumb, just stupid things. And I can think of several examples of players that I knew growing up that now play on the national team and how they handle things. So I think you just share experience with people that, hey, there might be a better way.
Yeah, but what if Joey's working harder, Susie's working harder than me? And then do they have a better chance of making it if I take off 2 days, 3 days?
I think that's where, and we talk about this in terms of player development, character development. Everything is is tailored to the individual. So I think
You don't think there's certain concrete
no, I
evidence?
think what may work. I think for sure there's science, there's evidence, but what may work for her may not work for me.
Is that as far as
That's my
workload?
opinion. Workload, I think. Workload, stressors, all kinds of things.
Right, I believe stressors, yes,
Yep.
right? But what about
Yep.
workload? I mean, so we're supposed to, okay, this is a good one.
Yep.
Right, this is right up both your alley. Should I work 4 days a week and somebody else is working 5 days a week and he's on top? So should I go 5 days a week? And then should I specialize? Should I, okay, see, that's why she laughed. Okay, well, we're going to go there. Should I
Let's
specialize?
go there.
I'm afraid about this one, but
Crazy it's even a debate, but
well, I'm going to give you another side to it then, okay?
I love going all sides.
Okay, specializing in one particular sport because, again, the people that some of these people that I'm looking at have succeeded and are getting there because they have done that. So going back to what we were talking about, how do you tell this person that that's not the way to go when they're being successful?
It's case by case.
It is case
Yeah,
by case,
like-
but I'm
like-
saying, I understand that you're saying it's case by case, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying
absolutely.
as the player, no, it's not, because look. Because look.
Well, that's-
Because look, because look,
yeah.
because look, because look.
But that's our job as coaches to educate
Why
players.
isn't it good for you then?
Why isn't
Yeah,
special?
well, let's just say specialization right now.
Did you read my 5,000 word article?
Well, probably about 2,000. No, I did.
Through research, I touched on every
I
side
saw-
of the debate.
But there's sides.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but not every athlete physiologically can early specialize because
right.
my biggest concern is, okay, a 13-year-old girl, she practices soccer 4 days a week, pretty much year-round. My concern is what is she doing outside of that to build her body strength and her coordination so she can handle that load?
But
That's my question, because there's
Right.
research behind that. If they're not strengthening their muscles and working on asymmetries in their body and wacky movement patterns, overuse injury, stress fracture, IT band syndrome, you name it. There's a
Ligament
400% more
damage, everything,
chance
right.
that ACL injuries
Especially
happen
with
with
women,
early
right?
specialization. Like the research is out there. Like it's just like you
But-
have to educate people.
So, okay, right, we know that. Or I shouldn't say we, you do. As a strength and conditioning trained coaches, you know this.
Yeah, physiologically.
Physio-
Absolutely.
Okay,
That's,
but,
it's science.
but the
That
problem
hasn't
is
changed.
not everyone can, what you were saying, can handle the same load as somebody at a certain age,
Yes.
right? But how, if my team is doing that, where do I lie? And I nope, 3-4 days a week, that's not going to work. And we all know this, right? So you're at a club, right? I'm paying $2,000. I'm just using it for example. I don't know what the fees are. I'm out of it.
You were pretty right
Okay,
around there.
so I'm like going back to when my son used to play a little bit and everything like that. And you're paying this. You can't say now, my trainer or someone else is saying, you can't come to training today because we don't think it's the right thing to do because of A, B. We have science to back this up. We have reasons why we're telling you this. You can't say that to the coach. What happens then?
It's really hard because
You want to
like,
do it
yeah.
from your standpoint.
And I know that Ashley has a holistic approach to
She
player
does.
development, and that involves technical, tactical, physical, mental.
Right.
And I'm totally fine with people early specializing if they nail down all of those pieces. And there are clubs out there that really focus on the holistic approach of player development. The Philadelphia Union, a bunch of clubs in Europe. Ajax is a great example.
I did read the other day,
Oh
you're
my
talking about
gosh,
Ajax. Okay.
yeah.
So when I read that,
100%.
Ajax is obviously one of the best clubs in the world. Okay, they produce, they're a money maker. They build their players up to a certain level and sell them. Right.
Right.
So that's where Johan Cruyff. There was all these top. That's a different world. That is a different world. You're talking about the Union with millions and millions. You're talking Ajax, millions and millions, billionaire owners. Okay, that's this.
But what are their dues? Like, how are they? You know, like
No,
that's my
but
question.
they're picking the best of the best.
Yeah.
So you can't. I can easily say, and her being in a club, and I don't know how big the club is exactly, right? But does not even touch a surface of Ajax. Right, or Barcelona, or whatever it is. They don't have the money, they don't have the time, they don't have the support. So, yes, a holistic way is to approach it. These kids, they have the time. They're there. They pick these kids up when they're 12, 13 years old. They go over and live, at Barcelona or whatever, picking up the Messis, the Iniestas back then. And these kids they're from day in day. This is all they do. That's their life. I can now use all this. I can use the holistic approach, taking time off, education. I can do all this because I got this kid full time. And not to mention just that they're there, too, the type of kid that they're taking also has this focus that is huge, right? If you don't have focus as a kid, where's my motivation? Where's this? All this comes into play. So which makes your job, right? Our job or whatever, a lot harder than going to Philadelphia Union, Ajax, Barcelona's, right? I can go on and on. So it's very difficult to say, because I was a technical director.
Sure.
I don't know what the hell I was really, to tell you the truth. But I was supposed to be a technical director of a coaching, and I came into this club, and we've spoke about this before, but we had, there was 125 teams, and there was some old coaches, and the board was ridiculous. There was a couple people that were quite good, but some of them didn't have a clue. And they brought me in to make change. So,
do you think it's a resources problem here?
That wasn't a resource problem, but the problem was because, again, the organization wasn't Ajax. There's a couple of people that never played. There was some people on the board that didn't even. One person said he played in Germany. Yeah, he traveled to Germany, took a ball in the park, and kicked it around. So he said he played in Germany. And he's on your board now. He's probably the president.
You get a lot of that.
Yes. So how
so it's
am I?
political.
That's political, but how? So the reason I'm bringing this situation, how do you change that? That's not Ajax.
I think Ashley can speak more to like the club piece.
What are you going to say?
Because I'm a freelancer. I just work with club players.
Okay.
But she's in it.
But you're, okay,
I'm
on the outside.
Okay, no, you're not on the outside. So when you're saying, listen, this is good for you, it's proven, and you go to Ashley, right? Should you go to Ashley?
Well, here's the thing.
Or should you go to
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I have worked. I think the onus is on a lot of people. It's on me to educate the coaches, and it's on the coaches to also be receptive to like the research and practical evidence. But here's the thing. I have worked and consulted with coaches who are so open to this approach, and their teams have done so well. They're like, yes, we need a physical piece, we need a warm-up to help with injury prevention, like we need all of this, and they've been so good with it. But then I've worked with coaches who are a little bit more closed-minded, and
who are they? I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just kidding. We don't do that here.
But here's what, a lot of things happen when coaches are closed-minded. It's a lose-lose for my relationship with the coach, and it's a disservice to the players because
Would you stop?
What?
Would you stop working with that player, with that coach?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, we've
up
had,
here. All right.
Up high?
Yeah, up here. I like that. Okay,
and
go ahead.
I have, and it's just like one of those things where you have to just like cut your losses and accept that some people aren't going to be on board with your approach, and that's fine.
Sure.
Like I would rather work with people who are super receptive and who want to develop the complete player. Like that, I'm sure that's why Ashley's doing it, and it's just. We just have to keep spreading our message, and not everyone's going to be on board. And that's fine.
And you're okay with that.
And I'm okay with that.
And you're in a different situation.
Yeah.
She's more of a freelance.
Which I did for many years.
Right.
I still do small group and personal training through Warrior Soccer Training. So I did that for many years.
I did read that in Warrior Soccer Training. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So you know this,
Yep.
but now you're tied into a club.
Yep.
Okay. And now that club come some political,
Yes.
yes.
Which I also try to stay out of as much as possible.
But it's so hard because you're
is.
one of the main people. You should be. If you're doing your job, not you per se, right? But if you are a technical director, well, that's why I got let go, right? But you're trying to bring your experience forth, right? You're trying to say, this is why. We're backed up by this. We're backed up by this. We've done this. We've seen this.
Yep.
But yet, now you're at a club. I don't know whether you have a board. I don't know whether, okay, so then you got to present this to the board. Maybe, I don't know your situation. I'm just using this for example and generalizing. And that really puts handcuffs on you sometimes because they're not just saying, go ahead, Ashley, go with it because of what you've done. And I have talked to numerous professional players that were very high up there that were in clubs, and they've gone through the same thing. It's very difficult.
So I'm pretty new to the club. Fortunately, I have a DOC that is fantastic, and he deals with most of that and kind of frees me up to do what I love to do, which is train, talk with the coaches about the ways that we can develop players, watch games, stay kind of in the player development side.
Do you have a curriculum?
We're working on it.
Okay, because again, curriculums. That was the catch word, right? That was a can you write a curriculum? Okay, I mean, I know what they're saying, but that I don't know what that means.
Well, then you get
Philosophies
I'm the
of the
wrong
club.
person to ask about that because you get these people that can write amazing curriculums, get on the field, and they can't train.
Right.
So I'm the
Absolutely.
wrong person to ask.
But everybody when Barcelona was, I hate to. Do you follow all this, like the Barcelonas? Do you follow Premier League at all and all that? Okay, I didn't.
Solange on Sundays.
Who? Oh, well, that's where you go. Down what?
In
Fells
Fells,
Point?
yeah.
Fells Point. Yeah,
See you
okay.
there.
No. So when they were doing well, everybody said this is the way we should be training. You know, Cruyff brought this. Johan Cruyff brought this way over. Everybody jumped onto this way to play, right? Now things are starting to slightly change. There was a gentleman here named Sonny Askew. He probably knows you. He knows your dad, right? Okay. And we were talking about this very soon, how it changes, right? So I write a curriculum up, right? Or I'm a technical director, or I'm training people a certain way, and I see that people jump on board. And when Leicester won, I hate to say, but there was a team that shouldn't have won. They were 4-4-2, right? 4-4-2. Everybody.
Right.
This is what we're going to. Now Barcelona's on top. They're unbelievable. 4-3-3, right? And then now Liverpool's the team. Now how are we going to play this, right? What kind of players are we looking for? Oh, so as a technical director or as your trainer or you're a coach, what are you doing? Where's your not your curriculum, but you go over and say to this coach, this is what's very difficult, right? This is so difficult. So you got a coach who's somewhat successful. I shouldn't say somewhat successful. And he's coaching. Ashley or Erica come in. You were hired. And this coach is not really doing quite a good job. And you clearly just see. Morgan, you could tell, right? So she coaches too, right? She coaches too. So you can tell. What do you do? You're supposed to have a curriculum. We're trying to do this. We're trying to do that. What do you do?
So that's where maybe, I don't know if it's right or wrong. I don't really go by black and whites. I'm in the gray area. You've heard me say before, everything is tailored or everything is case by case. I like that. I feel the same way. I just met with a coach about a month ago, and he's like, so should I be playing a 4-3-3? And I know that there are people that are like, yes, our club all plays. I don't feel like that. What's your personnel? What works for your team? Of course, we want to play possession-style soccer, but...
Okay, what if you're 8-year-old team, right? 9-year-old team, whatever it is, and what are you trying to get across? I meant, yes.
To the little ones?
To the little ones, because let's say we're playing this type of system.
Sure.
Or I shouldn't say, I don't like systems either, but this style.
Yep.
Do you have a style? Or do you have a system? Or do you have...
Honestly, with the little ones, the thing that we care most about is just developing good individual players.
Yes.
Good technical players. How's their first touch? Are they able to be players 1v1? Just basics. You know, my father played briefly at the end of his career with Pele. And one of the things I'll never forget is he asked Pele, what makes a player great? And he started laughing and he said, it's simple. It's just the basics. And that stayed with me from the time I was little, that, you know.
If you have good foundation.
Yeah, I
good
mean, where
right.
can we possibly go tactically if we don't develop the technical
Absolutely.
players?
Everybody sees YouTube
So,
or Facebook, and people are doing these tricks and everything before they know
Yes.
how to do anything, how to play.
Yes.
And
so,
you see all these technical, all these technical training accounts on social media, and it's like 8-year-olds like attached to like a resistance band and like doing like a backflip and then like dribbling through
Because
some
you know
codes.
why? Because it's new, it's novelty.
Well,
This
it's
person's
sensational.
Yeah.
They think
it
that's
looks
going to catch
good.
somebody's eye.
Yep.
This is somebody else's.
Yeah.
Somebody else isn't doing it right. So that's part of.
But that's not mastering the basics, and
Of
that's
course
not
not.
doing like the repetition for skill acquisition. That's just doing a bunch of like circus crap.
And
Soccer's not a circus.
Totally agree.
I agree.
Like, it's just like
I
went
agree
there,
with this.
but
I agree. So back.
Cruyff said it's simple too.
Oh,
And
let me
the
hear
best
this one.
players.
Do you know him?
I wish.
No,
I
but go
am
ahead.
Dutch
No,
though.
No, I know. Go ahead.
No, he said soccer is simple. You have a ball and you're trying to score in the net.
Well, that's true, but it's a lot in between that. He wants you to keep it simple, right? In a sense,
And he
right?
said
Yes.
that's the hardest thing about it. He said
course.
sophisticated players are simple, but it is hard to play simple.
Yes.
So-
So
But
how
it
do you
starts
get?
with the basics.
How do you? So you're teaching the basic 8 years of age, and so then they start to progress. Maybe let's say to 12.
Yep.
Then what do we do there? Is it the same thing?
So I think there's maintenance for sure, but we start to get a little bit more sophisticated in how we play. I mean, that's my
Right.
idea
Yes,
of it.
yes, yes.
And honestly,
What if a coach is not?
we start to work with that coach and developing the coach. And sometimes if the coach isn't getting it, then maybe
So
the coach
they're-
isn't the right fit.
So they allow you to speak to this coach and this, right?
So I started at Union in May. So I've been there not long. I was with the Naval Academy
Yes, I
in
saw
the
that.
fall,
Right.
which was very busy, and Union was fantastic in working with my schedule there. So I'm pretty new at Union right now. It's just been about
Feeling everything out.
feeling everything out, starting to kind of focus on that technical piece for the younger players. We just had a meeting recently where I talked about how do we bridge that gap. So meaning exactly what you're saying at 12, 13, we've worked on building a toolbox for these players.
Right,
How do we use it? Because now we've got players that, I mean, for instance, this is as simple as it gets, but we've worked on opening our hips with a touch.
Right. Sure.
Do they know where to use that on the field? Because your players still aren't getting
Absolutely.
wide and using it.
All right.
So just sort of bridging that gap as they get older.
Do you find? Okay, this is another reason I wanted both you. Do you find it harder being a female to approach a male
Not really.
coach? Well, she's new. Okay, I'm just curious about this because I'm just going from, let's say I've been coaching for 20 years, okay, and I don't know, just let's say I'm 45 years old, okay, and so I'm kind of old school, but I'm new school. I'm coaching, right, and Ashley or Erica come up to me. And I've been quite successful. Let's say I've been okay. Well, in my own mind, right, that's coach's own mind, he's been successful because they've won the B group, and they won a championship here and they won a championship there. So now, from your perspective, you come over and are you going to say, well, listen, what?
I don't think it should be any different because
I agree,
we both have been through the system and we've been playing for many years and we played.
But
in
you're not a
college and
male.
abroad.
You're not a male.
It
You don't
doesn't-
know what I went through.
And so here's the thing: usually when I consult and approach male coaches, I talk to them like I would any human being.
Sure.
And if it's something where I need to provide them advice or make a suggestion, instead
You'll
of
back it up.
going in and like giving that advice and being like, hey, you need to do this, I ask them the right questions.
What do you
first.
think?
I'm like, well,
Right.
what's the purpose of this exercise? Why
Or
are
what
you
do
doing
you
this?
think?
Yeah, what do you
Yes.
think? And then it just
They're in
turns
control.
into, and it's more of an open-ended discussion where there's like transparency and
Have
trust.
you found?
And it's worked.
Have
It's
you
worked.
found the other way though at all, to where somebody's not? Or see, here's the difference.
sometimes.
I think is because you're viewing it as what's the difference? We're both people, right? And we're
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
experiences, which makes I agree 100%
Yeah, and
with
I,
you.
I would agree with
But
you.
from this person, from the other side of it, they're thinking, okay, she's in the club, but you don't get that at all. Well, you're still
You
starting.
get comments, and you get.
Yeah, you
I'll be
do.
honest with you. I never entertain them. I don't think any further about it. I think that's like their issue.
Yeah.
And honestly, since childhood, I never really saw. I mean, probably because I played with boys.
Yeah.
It was just, are you good or not? Are you good? Are you a good soccer player or not? I don't.
Right. Okay.
I don't-
So,
so I
but
see it
do
in
you
terms
think
of-
that's even a good? Okay.
Are you a good coach or not? Are you
A good soccer player.
Yep.
Okay. So then I come back and I say, okay, at what level?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'm saying, oh, it was a girls' team, or it was a boys' team at this level. Do you? So that I'm just giving you the counter to this,
Sure.
to where people are going to maybe do this, and I don't know whether you've felt that, you see that,
Certainly, but I haven't entertained it for more than
Yeah, me
probably
either.
30 seconds. I
but
get
you
really-
have.
Oh yeah, but I'm very. I
Yeah.
think you are too. Just very confident in my craft, and
Yeah.
if you don't like that, sorry.
I can
And
rem-
also, it's like when you mention like going up to a successful male coach, it's like, well, define success. Is it a guy?
Well, that's what I
who's-
said.
Is it a guy who's won
Facebook
a
success.
national ECNL championship
that's
but
a-
is an abusive coach? Is that success?
with this.
Define success, or is it like just a high school soccer coach who loves what they do and connects with their players and develops humans, but maybe they haven't won that many games?
But is
that
he a good
success?
coach?
Yeah.
He
And
is?
Has he made an impact on those kids'
Okay.
lives?
Okay. So is he a
So
good coach?
define success.
Okay. So then we go back to saying that the whole point is to win. Correct? We're trying. It's a sport. We're trying to win. That's the major thing. Main thing. We have two teams, and one's trying to win. Am I correct?
My
Yes.
question with that
Yes.
is always like, at what cost?
Right.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
but
that
we're
was my
trying.
question.
But
But the
it's
goal-
a game.
yes.
It's a game.
But
100%.
taking the conversation back to what Ashley started with is you can still win without being a jerk, being an abusive coach, degrading your players. Like, there are many coaches out there who have won games who have really.
Or horrible. I'm going to be
yeah.
horrible. We've talked about this.
I'm not sure
100
that's
And,
what
like-
she was
No,
going
I am. I'll say it for you, but they're horrible.
But
and I
it's
know some
possible-
top people. No, I shouldn't say top people, record-wise. And I'm not going to talk. I told you I never bring up names. I never will. But I'm talking about academies. I'm talking about college.
College,
Yeah.
I agree.
And I'm talking about
High school, just,
and
rec teams.
Whether
like, it's
I'm good or
anyone.
bad, I don't know. People have to judge that, right? Regardless. But
I thought you were a great coach, but like
up here again. Okay. I like
But
this.
we'll bring that up
Yeah, but
later
then-
when we talk about creativity, because I want to talk about
Okay,
creativity. But
well,
we'll come
don't
back
worry,
to
this
that.
is not about me. Okay, so from my point, I thought they're terrible. It was black and white because of these reasons that you're talking about. So it was black and white. But people do use, and we've talked about this before with some other guests. People do use development, and he's a good person, and saying that's the reason they're not winning. Because they use that, we're developing
Yeah,
players,
I've
right?
seen
We
that.
don't, we're not worried about this winning.
I agree
And
with that.
and I turn around and I'll say, well, it is a game, and the reason these kids are playing the game is the whole intent of a game is to score to win. Okay, but we're not saying you're being an asshole or doing this or doing. Let's just say that's what we're getting into soccer. For this, well, I shouldn't say that. The game of soccer is about who wins, right? That's why you keep score, okay? But how do we accomplish that is a different.
Yeah.
That's a loaded topic too, because it depends on at what level, what age. Like when I was
Yeah.
at Navy, there were instances I was put into an instance where an individual player wanted to do something that wasn't beneficial for the team.
Sure.
So.
Right,
you
because
can
they
still-
could have won if they
Yeah.
did that. But okay,
You
so.
can still.
But are you
be-
trying to win?
Yes, and
Okay.
my response to the player was, "I'm really sorry that this isn't going to work for you, but this is what's best for the team."
And this is
So-
why it's best for the
Exactly.
team.
This
Because-
is why.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think for sure you have to bring the smaller piece into the larger piece. Like, what are we all trying to do here?
Yeah.
And you have to have information to back up why this is
100%.
good for you. If
100%.
you have just a Neymar, do you know,
Yep,
right?
of course.
Okay, so Neymar's so good,
Yep.
right? If he gives the ball up, a little quicker. And then he gets himself into a better area to where he's one-on-one instead of him holding all 5 people and doing a trick and trying to flick it over. And when he played for Barcelona, he'd give it up to Messi, right? He'd give it up to Suarez, or he'd give it up to someone and he'd get it back, and he's one of the top in the world.
Yep.
So that's a perfect example. Why should Neymar, now Neymar's so good, but why should he give the ball up? Well, this is why you should give it up, because now if you give this up and you get here one-on-one instead of 1 against 3 or 1 against 2 and you're getting kicked and now you're injured, this is why. And then if it works, you've got him.
Yep.
But we're still trying to win. We're still trying to win. So this is why you see that, you've seen it, right? These kids this big, right?
Yeah.
And this is another I'm going to ask you. Should there be goals?
I can't imagine soccer without
Yeah.
goals. So
Okay, so if you're under 5, if you're
all I want to do is score.
if you're exactly, so you start playing. I don't know. I started across the park. They didn't organize soccer when I was 8 years of age, right?
Right.
But I used to play across because I live across from the park. 3, 4 years of age, going over watching my brothers. I loved, I just loved that. And the first thing I did was when I was on the field, I thought I got to get to that. I got to figure that out. Not playing against them, but that was the whole idea. No matter what age, that was the whole idea. So there are some philosophies saying there should be no goals. There should be.
I've never heard that.
They should be doing
US idea?
They should be doing
it might be.
It's a U.S. idea.
Well, I'm not getting into that here, but
Oh, God.
the technical,
The
it should
new-
be
the-
working on basics. It should be working on this. It should be working on that.
I don't think that's the way to go with it
Okay.
at all. I honestly think and this is just my opinion, I don't know, I have a lot to learn, obviously, but the U.S. comes up with a lot of ideas and we compare ourselves to other cultures, but culture is certainly a huge factor. I don't know how we can compare ourselves to Germany or Spain.
Why?
The culture is incredibly
Well,
different.
why? What do you mean the culture? Why do you? What do you
Soccer
mean
is
by that?
religion there. I mean,
Okay.
soccer is, they're outside playing all the time. We've kind of lost that.
So then it doesn't matter what you put out there, what kind of curriculum. You're saying we should just have culture, more culture, and then we'll be better.
No, I think we should appeal more to the culture that we are.
As far as tactical?
As far as, so right now, and this is just an example, our kids here don't go out and play on their own. So how are they going to get touches?
Not anymore.
Probably by training with someone.
Yeah.
But it's organized. Okay, now if I have
Right or wrong,
structured.
so here's
right or wrong, that's our culture.
But and then it's
See-
like, can we even fix that?
well, that's
You know,
that's
like, 'cause of-
that's what I'm trying to say.
Because
So
you go to Baltimore and there's basketball courts, but there's not soccer courts.
There
Like
used-
in,
well,
not
that's-
in
There
Amsterdam.
used to be when
Yeah.
your generation.
that's
probably.
right, but,
Yeah.
there was only a couple neighborhoods.
Yep.
There was two
Patterson
na-
Park was
well,
always.
that was Highland
Patterson
Town.
Park, yeah.
Well, it was Highlandtown, right?
Okay.
And then there was
Yeah.
also, well, I should say 3, maybe Dundalk area a little bit.
Well, if you
and then
go
where
to-
I grew up was a Herring Run area, and that
Yeah.
was it was
Gotcha.
very similar to that, right?
But Patterson Park now, like it's
Well.
packed with people playing soccer, but they're not from our country. They're all the people from
Yes.
Mexico who live
So
here.
getting back to all
Which
this.
is crazy.
Okay, so are we trying to have better players? Is this what you're trying to do, right? Make better players.
Yep.
Okay? You're trying to make a better soccer player. You might be a little different. You're thinking a better
Just
athlete.
complete human.
Okay, right? Okay, so a better soccer player. So if it's not you, I bet you both of you, right, that you didn't have to be told to go to practice. That you
Nope.
you probably wanted to, right?
Yep.
And that's why sometimes when a parent, I don't know about you, but if I'm training with a player and I'm pushing them, and
Maybe
it's
not
not
wanting.
working, I tell the parent, I'm like, there's nothing we can do here.
Yeah.
Like
So-
if you want to be a great player,
Yeah.
there's got to be that internal.
I do. Okay.
Right.
Those
So-
those are the conversations people need to have with
Okay,
parents.
so then I'm at a club, or I'm you trying to make a living, right? How? Okay, so if the kid doesn't want to be there, do you just say, heck with it? What do you do?
Well, I want to figure out why first, and I want to ask them, where do you want to go with this? Like, answer honestly. Where do you want to go? And if they say, I want to play for UNC, and then I say, well, what are your weekly habits? What are you doing to get there?
Okay.
And
Here,
if-
here,
and-
wait a
but-
minute,
no,
Christian.
but let me
Wait,
finish.
okay, wait, Erica. Here's $4,000. Here, come here, kid.
That's a
Go
lot
ahead.
of money.
Okay, stop. That's why I said, here's $4,000. can you train my kid? I want him to become, or her to become UNC. Go ahead.
Well, I would tell them, does your kid want it? But
Yeah, sure he does. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Yes, she does. I know it. I can see it.
And
She can juggle the ball 10
I
times.
have had sometimes conversations with the parent and the kid
Okay,
there
and it's
where
full.
I'm not even looking at the parent. I'm asking the kid the questions, but the parents listen.
Okay, so I'm the kid. Again, I told you, part of this conversation, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm being the devil's advocate a little bit. So I'm the kid, and my dad and my mom are there, or whatever it is, and my dad's 6 foot tall, right? And you think this kid's going to answer in front of the kid, in front of the parent?
Sometimes they do, but if they don't, I have a one-on-one conversation with them.
And they're afraid you
and
go
I
back to the
ask
parent.
them- yeah, so I ask the kid, where do you want to go with this?
Right.
What are you doing to get there?
Right.
And if they're not doing the steps to get there, I tell the parent.
And then you
And
say,
have
here's
to
your
have
money
that tough
back.
conversation.
Will you give the money back?
100%. If I can't help someone, then I don't want your money.
Okay.
I don't care.
And I'm not saying you.
I'm doing
saying
this to help
in
people.
general. So if somebody comes to your club, right, and it's a coach that brings in, they come from another club, brings in 20 kids. Just use this for example. Brings in 20 kids, and that's 20 times whatever to the club. Okay, we brought him over. That's bringing us in revenue. We can pay this person. This helps. Blah blah blah, whatever. And they're horrible.
We just recently had this conversation. There was a team that I thought I might be able to bring over that has had like so much drama. I called my DOC and he said, nope, we don't want it. So I think we're very solid on where we stand with the direction that we'd like to go and what our philosophy is as a club. In terms of individually, I've been in that situation too, and I think just like I tell my players, you focus on what you can do. Here's what I can do for your kid. We're in an agreement here. Here's what they need to do. Here's what I need to do.
It's a two-way street.
100%. I'll hold up my end. If you want to get better, you've got to hold up yours, and if you don't, not happening.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong if
we're not magicians.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong if the kid doesn't want it. It's like you just need to know. You need to be self-aware. And if you don't want it, like go find something else to do.
So
and there's no wrong to that. You
There's
just need
all
to know.
different types of levels here we're talking about. Then.
Sure.
And this lies the problem, I think, and different needs. So you're psych, I don't know, psych majors or whatever it is, Maslow. You ever hear of this guy?
Yes.
Anyway, okay, and it's the hierarchy of needs, it's called. And when you look into that, I'm not saying his theory, right, but the idea behind it makes a little sense. So first, what does the person want out of this? So what's the need? Well, certain needs have to be fed. Let's put it that way. Or why is that you're going to lose this player? If you don't understand this particular player, what their needs are to go to the next self-actualization or whatever you want to call it, up to the next level, then it's lost. So from your standpoint as technical director, and I don't know how far that goes, and trainers and all this, are you trying to do that, find that out?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
You're trying to say, so wouldn't the first thing be, right, a coach comes into the club, and then now the coach sits down with the staff, or whatever your staff is, or sits down with you, right, and you have this feedback back and forth, right? You talk and you're feeling this person out, what their needs are, right? Are they being filled? And then that hopefully will trickle down to that team. Am I correct? Right? And that team then, how is that coach, right, going to find out about 20 individuals?
Forms. Have them fill out forms.
Okay, but
I've done that.
the forms are.
We got to keep checking in with them.
No, but I'm saying yes. But the forms, I can write anything I want because I think that's what people want to hear. So like when you say, what do you know, blah 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 blah. Well, this sounds good. This is the way it should be said, right? And so I'm going to put down check that, check this. So how then do we? And if it's not in our culture.
It's all about culture.
No, but if it's not, because you're obviously
The
saying.
question was, how do you get to? What was the question?
Yeah.
So we're going back around, right?
Yep.
If it's not the culture, and the kid doesn't want to be there, right? Or someone wants to be, but he comes to your club. Well, how do we change this? What do we do? What do we focus on?
Sure, and that's the thing that I tell parents all the time is sometimes you can't change it.
Yep.
You just accept it. Your kid doesn't have it, doesn't want it, doesn't, maybe, and that doesn't mean they have to quit the sport or move on. You have to find the right fit for your kid.
Right. What does that kid want? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
That's what I mean. So
Yes.
his needs are what? I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
do the clubs and do trainers do this?
Yeah.
Depends.
You're
on the-
saying you're individually, you think yes, because it's one-on-one,
Yep.
It's
right?
group.
No,
It's group.
yeah, but it's
Yeah.
smaller group,
But
right?
this is something
I'm
like
curious.
this is something like after every workout we check in with them, and I just started doing this, like they fill out a whole inventory, like how's my sleep, what are my habits, am I working on my skills at home, like we like check in with this weekly, just like we're checking in with our skill work. It's
It's almost like a life coach, a little bit.
well, coaches are.
They
We
sure-
have to
yep.
know. We have to know this stuff.
They should.
We
You
have to know
are
this stuff.
100%.
And it took me till this year, my 8th year of coaching, to start doing this.
But
And
how
I wish I started sooner.
is the club going to do that?
I don't
How's
know
your
how.
club
I
gonna
don't
do
work in
I
clubs,
don't
know.
so.
They're not Ajax. They're not Barcelona's. They don't have the money.
Well, right, and I think
You don't need
that
that
is.
much
I mean,
money
that
to
is
do
true.
it.
But I
Oh,
think at the end of the day, what can you do? And
Yeah.
and,
Yeah,
and, and
yeah,
I
yeah.
say this all the time, whether it's in terms of training. Like I had to do a demo for coaches, and of course, you're going in thinking, I got to do something that's gonna like impress
wow, people.
Yeah, and I purposely said, I'm going to do the most basic thing because it's not what, it's how. It's how we're doing it. Like any coach can set up something, the most basic thing, and then forget to coach all the details of that thing.
Sure, yeah.
And I think that that's the same way in terms of what you're talking about in dealing with people. It's not what we're doing, it's how we're doing it. How are we relating to our players? Do we know our players? How are we relating to the parents? How are we relating to each other? What's the culture like in the club? Things
Do
like
you
that.
think, though, that's a realistic goal for a club? How are they paying? How am I paying Erica to be there full time? How am I paying Ashley there? Well, I'm just using it for example,
Yep.
right? To be here full time to worry about this. So I got a coach who coaches an under 14 team. I don't know. I'm just making this up. Under 14 team, and we clearly see that okay, yeah, he's winning or she's winning, but this isn't right. This isn't good, what's going on. I can see you on the sideline, I can see this, I can see that. And so we pull this coach in, and this has to be done. And now this is what we want you to do as coaches in this club, right? We want you to understand where each kid's coming from. That coach says, shit, I got to go back and work. I only have 2 hours, right? I have 2 hours, and now I have to go back to my family. I got to do this. I'm not making much money.
Yeah.
Do you really think that's actually going to? No, Ajax, right? You're talking. The reason we bring up Ajax, that can be done. I'm paying Erica 100,000, you 100,000, somebody else 100.
Sports
Yeah,
psychologists,
sports psychologists to do this.
nutritionists.
That's easy. I think that's easy,
Yeah.
and then we'll find that the culture is going to make the difference, right? That's where we'll say, we've got all these resources. How come we're not producing players? Well, we go back to the culture, right? And I don't know whether I do believe it's a huge amount of that, but I don't think it's all that, right? I think it's things that we're talking about right now, right? Iceland, okay? Iceland, was it in their culture before? Was it in their culture before they started, the government, right, got involved, right, and started putting money into that system, to the soccer system, and then they end up doing half decent in the World Cup, but they're paying people, and they're subsidizing these things. But it wasn't always in their culture.
That's true.
So how then were they able to do that? So the culture, how far back do we go in the culture? Can I now say at Union or wherever it is that we're starting at 8 years of age? That's why I brought up 8 years of age a while ago, or 6, whatever they start. I can start a culture. When we went to Hopkins, right? When I went to Hopkins, right? This is a funny story. I met with the girls. They hired me, they hired me. So I had to sit down with like 6, 7 girls. It was before you were there.
Oh,
From the team?
was it my freshman year?
I don't
The
kn-
rest of the team was in Europe, and we
No,
just
no.
had you.
And that could have
Remember
been.
that? That was
but,
fun.
Well, before I got, well, this is a little long story. So,
Cheers to that.
so when I got hired, right, I had to sit down with like 6 or 7 girls.
I think that was the freshman.
It might have been your
yeah,
freshman year,
yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And 6 or 7 girls, and they went back to him, said whether they liked me or not. And then I got hired. right? So when
Oh, maybe it was the seniors then.
yeah, it was, or captains,
that
it was
time,
something.
Yeah.
And so when I went in, the culture, there was no culture. There was, I could, yeah, there was a culture, but it was a culture that was a little different, right? So I go in there, and this is the first thing I'm trying to, culture's a new word. I mean, everybody throws this culture around for the year, but it does make sense, right? So I'm trying to change something, right? I'm trying to put something there, right? So were we going to get worse before we got better? That was my mentality to think that, yes. But things, just through implementing certain things and sticking with this and presenting my views, my ways, I don't know, my attitude or my thoughts, right? That's part of a culture. I'm putting a culture onto somebody, my culture onto somebody else, right? And seeing if they follow this.
And your style of play.
Well, that's part of it.
Yeah.
That's all part of it, right? Because I can have a style of play, but if I'm not allowing you to do this, or if I'm not allowing some type of freedom or expression or whatever it is, and then the hunger and the desire, and all that's part of, I guess, somebody's culture, I guess you want to call that, or work ethic. I don't know what you want to call it, but that's all part of it. So I don't think you have to have 5 generations back. I think it helps because if one's passed down, you know, when you have your whole family in front of a television watching your team and you're done, that's different because now you want to become that, right? That's part of a culture. That's huge, right? But I still think we can implement little cultures, right? Or ideas, ideology, I think. What do you mean by, can I ask you, Bill, what do you mean by culture? Today's show is brought to you by Gunpowder Lodge. It is the #1 place to watch Premier League and all your soccer games in Baltimore County. For great food, great people, great atmosphere, featuring weekly chef specials. They also have a great setup with outside seating and a fenced-in children's playground next to the Gunpowder River. Happy hours, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., located at 10092 Bel Air Road, Kingsville, Maryland.
So
You're on.
when I think about culture, I'm thinking of the dynamics within an organization. So when we first were talking about culture of different countries, I'm talking about like a national identity, right?
Right.
With culture within an organization, like I said, I'm talking about the dynamics within. So, and I think that starts from the top down, right? Top down. Who your leadership is, what they're about, what their values are, what their beliefs are, what the priorities are within the club, and then, or the organization, and then the buy-in from the people that make up the organization.
Right, the people that are coming into your organization.
So,
you go ahead.
yeah, they're everything. If you don't have that buy-in, how can you lead? So that would be my understanding of culture.
And now it takes a little while for that, right? Okay, I'll ask, but how long will it take for something like that?
Again, I think that's very case by case, but it also depends on the boundaries and the limitations you set. So if I'm in leadership and there's half of leadership is full of people that are negative and gossiping and undisciplined and aren't accountable and all kinds of things that we don't want, are we keeping those people around? How many chances do we give them? Because those things, in my opinion, breed within an organization. I mean, we've all been members of teams.
It's
and
a
we
cancer.
know,
Right.
Yeah, when you're on a team, those things breed themselves.
Now, can you do that hands-on? Could you change that hands-on as far as, obviously, we get the whole club together. You're talking about from top, from bottom.
Sure.
And then we get all the coaches together. We have a meeting. We do all this. We do all that. So do you think it's realistic that these people will buy into this?
I think, unfortunately, in a place of leadership, you have to really kind of walk the walk, and you have to, like I said, really set those boundaries. So if we have this discussion and we're all on the same page and this is the direction we're going, and you don't have that buy-in, not to be like a dictatorship, but eventually you're not the right fit for this club.
Sure.
But I think if there's no action behind it, we never get to where we're
So
going.
then why hasn't it, then as in the very beginning we were saying we don't have that culture. Why not? So you're at a club, you train people, and you believe, and you honestly believe, right, that you can change that. You can fix that. So you two, or even myself, right, which we're this big on this country, this system, And we believe we can do it. Why can't they, with all the power and the money, and why can't they do it
So
then?
I think that's originally when we were talking about culture, I was talking about sort of a culture of passion and love for the game,
Sure.
right? And I think America, I mean, this is a very generic answer, but in America, we like football, we like basketball, we like baseball.
But there's 600 million, I don't know how many people do we have here in the United States? I don't know.
Oh, I agree with that. I think,
How did Iceland do it?
I couldn't tell you that.
See,
I couldn't tell you that.
It must be a matter of priorities.
Sure.
I
Well,
think
that's with the
They
individual.
identify more European
Or
as well.
our values just aren't culture right now. We're focused on like the X's and the O's.
See, no, she's going a whole different route. So X's and O's, we were trying to say that in the very beginning, X's and O's really, they're so. It doesn't make a difference. It's within those X's and O's what we have, right? How come, I'll give you an example, a culture of Brazil, right, where you have this flair,
Right.
right? You have this, okay, Mexico. Even Mexico has a flair, right? They have the flair when they want to play a little bit. Spain has a different type of the way they play. So I don't. Why do they have that flair?
It's the environment.
It's the environment. So
And
can
we don't
pro-
really have that like concentrated environment like Brazil. We don't have the concrete courts or the futsal courts all over. We don't have soccer goals on the beach.
Okay, but
Well,
Spain
like,
may
they're a
have.
passionate
And,
culture.
like,
we typically,
yeah.
I'm sorry, we
No, go
typically,
ahead.
if you watch Iceland, for example, if you watch the men in the World Cup,
Yeah, that's
it's like
really
big,
cool.
fast, strong.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, so in America, I mean, I think we tend to be more like, let's get it done no matter how. Let's just get it done.
Okay, but what about your sports? What about basketball?
Well,
There's a lot of flair in basketball.
I don't know enough about that.
Well,
That's true.
they
we
can
just,
do
We
everything.
don't have an identity.
Do you need an identity as far as
Spain
for
has
culture?
an identity.
Yeah, but they know they got to
great
change that identity. They're going to change
And-
that identity.
Which
to
is
a certain
fine.
point
It
because
worked
people
with-
caught
it-
up.
It worked for a while.
Yeah, well, they had the best player in the world too.
Our identity works for our
That's
women's
true.
national team.
Pardon me?
Our
Okay,
identity works for our
And
women's
that's-
national
see,
team.
Yes, that's
you keep
true.
on
It's
saying there's
working.
an identity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's an identity. I think the women are leaps and bounds because we're going to go back to culture, right, a little bit. You're allowed to play. You're okay. We like women playing. In foreign countries, they was looked down upon.
Agreed.
Right?
I agree with
And you've got a system. You've got they can play when they're young. They can go to the college where it's very competitive. So they're playing all the time. But I will guarantee you in years to come, right, the other countries are going to catch up.
Oh, it's
They already
been
are.
happening, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I meant
The Dutch
right now.
women should
Go.
have won. No.
No, I know. No, but the women here are a little bit more. They're allowed to express themselves here in the country,
I would
in the
agree
United
with
States,
that.
than they are in other
I would agree with
countries. So there lies your culture again, right?
Yeah.
So they're allowed to. They've got a head start, right? And you can see when the U.S. decided to turn on and they pressured and pressured. Other teams were struggling a little bit. France was good. France was very good,
was.
and
That's
they're
what
going
I
to be
was gonna say.
catching. But with their coaching ability, right? And this is where I think it's going to change a little bit. Is here they go to college where you're getting your majority of your coaching. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and we could use numerous examples where the college coaches aren't over there. You're getting professional coaches coaching these girls,
Yes.
right, at a young age. And what's
Yes.
going to happen is so let's say I go to a college, which is quite good, right? But that coaching is so inferior to that over there. And that's where you're going to starting to see the change. And if girls are allowed to play at a young age and they can express it, it's just going to, I'm telling you what's going to happen. You're going to see a U.S. men's similar to what's going to happen eventually. We're well ahead of them at this particular time. But in my sense, the culture I think we can change it. And I don't know about the United States as a whole. Yes, they do like basketball. They do football. They do like this.
Yeah.
But getting back to your ideas, right, where it's good to play multiple sports when you're younger, right, to open it up because it helps other body parts. You're not weak and you're not stressing certain parts of your body and so on. So on, you're opening up, you're getting away from the pressures of one sport.
And your brain.
Yes,
It's
your
good for
brain.
your
Yes.
brain.
So I think that's probably, it could be a good thing.
It's a
right?
piece of it,
Yeah,
yeah.
that could be a good thing. So again, it comes from Ashley, it comes from you, comes from me. So when I went to Hopkins, I tried to implement something, as soon as we started. I
Yeah.
did think it was going to take longer than I thought it was, but they've had very good talent. They, it was one of the. I enjoyed that a lot. One of the better things
It
I've ever
was
done
a
in my
blast.
career.
It was
right?
a blast.
It was coaching women. I don't know what it was.
It's interesting.
I thought we were really receptive.
Oh, you were so
to it.
receptive, and I think it was great in your work ethic and the type of person that went there, and
Can I just say
yes.
one thing about that? So like up until college, I not once had a coach who promoted that type of creativity and that like free play.
Yeah, but
And like when I got there, I was like, wow, this is
opening
awesome.
up,
Like,
yeah.
and I wasn't afraid to make mistakes because I remember something that you said. You were like, as a forward, you were like, if you guys are going to take on players 1v1 in the attacking third, don't be afraid of making a mistake because the ball's got to get all the way back across the
Well, that was
field.
one thing.
And
Listen.
that stuck with me so much. And like I felt under that system and philosophy, I peaked as a player. Like I reached my potential.
And I think maybe some of that was blind, but what I was doing, that's how I was as a player. I didn't want
Yeah.
someone to hold me back. And I think
Yeah.
we talked about this before in other shows, to be creative, you have to be open.
Yeah,
you
you
can't be
do.
inside a box.
And
right?
you can't be living in fear.
Well, you
of
can't. Well,
making
that's
a
inside the
mistake.
box
Yeah.
of fear, right? You cannot do that because how are you going to go to the next level? If I'm afraid to do this level,
Yeah.
I can't go to the next level, right? So there's a gentleman at your club. It plays, and he was very good, very, very good finisher. So when I first came into this team, he played professional, and I was coaching, and I said, listen, I want you to start taking people on. He says, I don't do that.
Oh wow.
It's like
I went like, I thought, are you kidding me? I said in the back of my head, I said, no, but I want you to try it. I want you to do this. Because why can't you open up your game that way? Well, I don't do that. I thought, has somebody told you not to
do you think it's not taught enough?
I know it's not. I know
Yeah.
certain things.
Well, in our
because he
country,
was so good at what he did. But what if at a young somebody said, I want you to do this now. I want you to open up here. I want you to show up here. I want you to come here. You're going to help this team out so much more. What if you're in that position up front and you never get the ball?
Yeah.
Well, you can't do what you're good at. So now I'm going to open your game up and say, listen, I want you to come here, change your game up, change the defenders up, change the style of play, change the vision of everybody else. And now this opens your, now you have this and you have this, right? So if that one game where you're not getting the ball, well, now you can do something different to help the team out. And it's going to help you out. Now they come out, it's going to free other players up. And if they don't, now you're going to be able to face and turn. You got options then, right? So I couldn't understand that mentality, right? So going back as a player, I wanted to be able to do this. This was fun for me.
Yeah.
If I went and I was a forward my whole life. So then when I went pro, there were some big names there, and I was 17 at the time, and I wasn't getting playing time. They said, we want you in the back because you can do A, B, and C. I said, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. I want to play. So that was the whole point. But if I didn't open my game up, if I didn't know how to do those before, have that thought process, then that moved me to the back would have never worked in a million years, and my career would have been over before it started, right? Yeah. So why not implement? So going back to the Hopkins thing, why not teach it? Well, because what happens is maybe somebody comes in, they're afraid of, if I do this, I look like an asshole, and I'm trying to get this changed, and this isn't good, and it doesn't work. Uh-oh, I'm done.
Yep. Well, it goes back to ego. That's what we talked about before.
Yeah.
But what it could be coming back to, why need this job?
Yep.
I don't want to screw up.
Yep.
But I believe in what I was doing and what I think the game, the way it should be played. And if it did mess up, well, I'll try to figure it out. That was the whole point. But I would have to have that freedom to allow that. Right, but I had an idea where they were at, just talking to people. So we'll get off that. But you can implement a culture, I think, within a club, and I don't think it takes too long. But the hardest part, I think, with a club is to get your people to buy in, and you're new. You're new, but you've got 2 other people, 3 other people that hopefully you're on the same page, and they all back each other, regardless of what the situation is. Because what if somebody on your, I don't know, I have no clue about what the dynamics are over. You have somebody on the board, 2, 3, 4 people on the board that have kids on certain teams, and their coach, they like that coach, but that coach isn't any good.
Yeah.
That's going to be a problem for anybody that runs into a situation because, how can we change this thing around?
Yes, the politics have
Yes.
to go.
Yeah.
Which is easier said
than
than
So the first thing we're talking about, I said to this particular person, as soon as I'm interested in a player that comes to my club or to my school, as soon as I look at, I like the way they play, I like this, I'm sitting down with them before they touch the field, right? Not what do you wish for? What do you know?
Yeah.
I'm going to implement a culture. I'm going to implement not a style, but what my philosophy is.
Yep.
This is what we're doing. This is what I expect of you.
Yep.
And if you don't, this isn't a threat. It's nothing like that because we do other things that feel like they're not in fear. This is what we expect of you. And you'll love this place. I'm telling you, if you do this, blah, blah, this is what we all do. So now that person buys in. Now the team plays a certain way. So everybody comes to that school, know this is what is expected of you before you step on that field.
Yep.
So it's not like, well, he didn't make the run. She didn't do this. She's not showing up. She's late. Because I told you in the very beginning, then I've got to implement that. If that does not work then, right, if she's not, or he's not doing that, well then you have to set a precedent.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like I've been very fortunate to see at the Naval Academy, Karen Gaber has been there for 27 years.
Yes.
And just watching her leadership.
Yeah, that's good for you. That's
oh
brilliant
my
for you.
gosh, it's
That's
been
right.
such a gift. And one of the things she said that just reminded me of what you said. I remember she said it halfway through the season. And I was like, huh. She said to our girls, "I'm not going to thank you for things that are expected of you."
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, she's very clear about what
Where she wants out of
yes,
somebody. That's right.
Yes, and she's just a phenomenal leader. But I see that
Right.
sort
right.
of this is the standard, and this is what we expect.
And it's easier for you. When I went to a place called San Diego, it was called the San Diego. You would win it all the time, right? And you always wonder, what is this coach doing? Why is he winning this all the time? Yeah, yes, he picks certain players. He knows what he wants. But I think is when you come into that situation, I know it's already expected of me.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And I'm not bigger than that club.
Yep.
Because of all this history, what they've done and blah, blah, what the expectations are.
Yep.
So Messiah, I'm just going back to Division 3,
Yeah.
Yep.
right? Messiah was a team they never beat.
Right.
They never beat, blah, blah, blah. That was their big, blah, blah. So then they ended up becoming better than Messiah at one point. But every year, Messiah puts out, they might have won. Did they win it this year? No, they didn't.
I
No, they
don't
didn't.
know who
But
did.
they're there all the time, right?
Yep.
And because I think what happens is, as soon as you know you're going to Messiah, you know what's expected when you
Yeah.
step on that field in
Yeah.
Messiah.
Yes,
And that makes the
100%.
coach, the job for the coach, 3 times easier.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's now he has implemented a culture. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes.
You can implement it from day one.
Well, you got to
If
do it
you're-
from day one.
Yeah,
If you're-
you're in
yeah.
trouble.
You
You're in
have to
trouble.
do it from
Some
day.
people don't.
Well, because they don't have a culture. They don't know what they need.
They don't know what they need.
And if you know what you
or
need,
they're afraid to communicate it.
well, then they should not be a
Yeah.
coach or what,
Yeah.
ahead of people. Okay, so we see how
Not a
long we're
position of
going here.
leadership.
Right.
Off subject a little bit.
Yep.
Okay. What do you think about transgendered athletes? Today's show is brought to you by Barracuda's Locust Point Tavern, located at 1230 East Ford Avenue, Baltimore. Come down and see Billy Hughes. He's been a chef for over 30 years. Barracuda also has daily specials. The codfish cakes are great. I was down there last week and I had the fish tacos. Brilliant. Billy puts out a great dish, great atmosphere, friendly. What more else do you want from a place? Neighborhood bar and restaurant. Ashley, let's see what you come up
I
with.
think it's a very controversial subject. I think that certainly biology can't be ignored in regards to strength, speed, things like that in terms of keeping a competition competitive and fair.
Do you think that there's definitely got to be a line between male, female, or are we talking about more, this might be up there, testosterone levels, right? How do we determine what the level is. So someone, there was a subject with a girl, no, a boy that switched over to a girl, and it was wiping everybody up with the wrestling. And then it was with another sport.
Yeah,
And
it was
some
a
girl,
case with running. I think
it was a running also. I
Yeah.
think there was a lacrosse. Well, and the girls that were trying out for this team spoke out, saying that they didn't think that was fair, that they're taking scholarships away, they're taking this away from us, right? When they were at an advantage, that person was at an advantage because they were once a male, right? And now they're coming into a female sport. So what do you think? What do you think of that first? Do you think it's
I think physically it is unfair.
okay?
Just because in general men are faster and stronger than women, and we can't ignore that. So yeah, I think physically it's definitely not an even matchup.
It's not an even matchup.
Not at all.
So there's nothing wrong with being transgender,
No.
male, female,
No.
whatever. We're not talking about that. We're
No.
talking about strictly with
Capabilities.
sports. Yeah, with sports.
Yeah.
Now, is that because of the testosterone levels? Is
Yeah.
that because, so do we then cut it off and say you're only allowed to have, X amount of testosterone to be considered to play in a women's sport or a men's sport? Because there's all different levels, right? Different people have different,
Yeah,
as
some
you-
girls are faster than guys. at
and
the
they
same
have more
age.
testosterone too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Some are higher, some are a little lower, right? So then comes a problem, I think, is they're saying, okay, she's at this level or he's at this level. Which way can they go? Can you take a male with low testosterone and let them play in female sports? Or vice versa. If they have a higher one, can they go and play in the male sports? We don't think there's a problem with women playing men's sports. We could care less. It's when it's men going to play in a women's sport because of the disadvantages, correct?
That would be my first thought. I think I would need to see more like research on it. I'd like to see what that would look like. But I don't know enough about the subject.
You think there is a disadvantage though on that?
Well, certainly. I mean, if you look at research or stats on any sport, men run faster, they're
Right.
stronger. I mean, that's not an idea. There's facts to support that.
Sure. So if that's the case,
If that's the case, then it would
that's
be a
bit of
disadvantage.
it would definitely be a disadvantage, you think?
Yeah.
And but it's a tough subject though. The
It
reason
is a
I'm-
very
and
tough
The
subject.
reason I'm asking
and
you,
especially with the climate right now,
right?
people are very
Everybody's afraid that.
sensitive.
I think the climate, everybody's too much, too
Very-
overboard. I mean, you can't say. I
Very
didn't know
politically
whether to
correct.
call you. I remember when I went to Hopkins.
Yep.
This is a funny story.
Oh, God.
This is a couple of them. I had a couple. So, one of the questions the girls asked me when I was at the table,
Yep.
right? How are you going to teach girls? Have you ever taught girls, right? Or women or whatever? And again, do you call them women, girls, guys? So
Yeah,
and I
that's
said,
another
and
conversation.
So I said, what's the difference
Yep.
in coaching them?
Yep.
What's the difference, right? I said, there
Yeah.
is no difference. There isn't. I'm going to coach you same way I coach anyone, right? Certain levels I want you to hit, expectations, all these things. Are they, time-wise and physical-wise? Yes, they're going to be different, but you're still trying to achieve the same goals, right? So that was, to me, that was a ridiculous question, right? But I can remember saying,
Oh, God.
so
Do I
one time,
remember this?
yeah, I don't know if you remember this or not. So I said one girl was going to kill me because
Oh,
I
God.
said to her, "Listen, give the ball to her. Like, literally, she's a bigger girl.
Yep.
She can hold the ball up.
Oh, I remember this.
You thought I had shot somebody.
Oh my God.
You can't call a girl bigger, right? I thought, wait a minute. And then there was one. I said, we're going to have the slower girls against the faster girls. And I said,
I remember that.
Oh, this girl, because she was kind of a little bit of a leader there, and she wanted to kill me. I said, but you're not as fast as her. We don't care. Don't mean you're not as good as her.
Yeah.
When I coached the men's professional team, we had the blacks against the whites.
Oh gosh.
But
And
it
that
was great.
Nobody cared.
Oh, they loved it. They loved it. Then I had.
How long ago was
That
this?
was when I was with the Blast. when I was
Exactly.
coaching.
This was like years ago.
No, it wasn't that long ago.
Someone would
Do you think
legit
it would still
punch
be
you
like
down.
that?
I'd absolutely do the same thing.
Do you think they
They would love it. I had the foreigners against the Americans.
Yep.
Right? And it was the Argentinians, blah, blah. So it was so, I could care less whether you're red, yellow, black, white.
Right,
But I
exactly.
could care less, right?
Yeah.
This is what makes sports so great.
Yes.
Right? We
Yeah.
don't care. We
Yep.
don't. We could care less.
Yep.
So if I said black or white, what the hell?
But you're not, and by saying that, you're not coming from a place of being like offensive.
Racist?
You're just like,
no.
it's just-
Look, you are black, you are white, you are red.
let's
right?
play.
Let's just play.
Let's
right?
play.
And I'm just going to separate and see what happens, right? So this is what we did. But then I can remember saying, I had to watch what I said all the time in a sense because some girl would get
Yeah.
offended about this and that and so on. I didn't know whether to call you girls, people, I meant persons,
But
women.
they're just words.
That's
too.
all they are.
And-
All
but,
I'm
like,
doing is
everyone-
differentiating.
Everyone interprets words differently. Like something like
syntax of a
profanity.
word, yep.
Profanity as a coach, like it's a very controversial topic. But
I
it's
hate to
just-
tell you, when I was at Hopkins, I don't think I was telling her this the other day. I don't think I used one curse word.
You
But
didn't.
Well,
You
when I
didn't.
was when I coached the men,
Yeah.
Yeah.
to get a point across to them, to know that I was serious, right?
Yep.
Sometimes I would. That was the
Yeah.
culture. Maybe it wasn't the right thing, but I did. I just did.
That's also part of what we've talked about is being able to read your players, know your players, and know how to deliver the message.
Yes,
I
yes.
think that's part of being a good coach.
I think that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
Or am I going to change their mentality to fit into what I want? See, that's another thing. So, am I going to read into them? Yes, I got to understand where they're coming from, but I'm trying to accomplish this. So, do I say I got to listen to everything they say, where the girls or the guys run the team, or am I going to implement something? To say, listen, I want. So maybe I didn't have to use curse words. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. But that was what I felt that particular time, and I was strong and I was passionate about it. And so maybe I should have used other words. I know I didn't use it with the girls. I just didn't. I just didn't feel that was. Probably.
Well, and
It just
you
wasn't.
bring in, I remember the first time I trained a little boy. I trained probably
Right.
equally boys and girls. And I was like, that's awesome. Good stuff. Really quick. Like giving him a lot of encouragement.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
more encouragement I gave him, the more he slacked.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? With girls, I've had, and again, you can't put
Why
a
is it-
statement
Gosh.
on gender, but with boys, I found if I challenge them, I get more out of them. With
Yeah.
girls, if I encourage them with positive reinforcement, I
Do you
get more
still
out of them.
believe this?
I wouldn't say, again, it's concrete, it's case by
Yeah.
case, but I certainly I remember having that realization, like, wow, that's not adding to
Yeah, it's
his
not
work
working.
rate.
Well,
That's right.
some girls do want tough love, and
Yeah,
some
that's true.
do want you to be hard on
That's true.
them.
That's true.
But yeah, it is case by case because
Case by
some
case.
need a softer approach. So if you have a team of 30 girls, like everyone's going to respond to your
Okay,
communication
then
differently.
we
so
go-
you can't just have like one approach. You have to like maybe make a comment to a
But we
player a
can't have
different
30
way. You're going to make another
I
comment.
can't have 30 different thoughts. I mean, as far as the way this team's ran.
No, it's not thoughts. It's just how you deliver the message. So one player might need you to be, hey, what did you do there? How can you do better? Another player, you might need to be, hey, like you need to pick this up.
Right,
So you
see-
just need to change your communication.
And I don't, but then I'm a player. A player reads that and says, well, she's nice to this person, but she's kicking me up the ass. I don't like that. But why is she nice to this
No,
person?
I'm talking about a player who does like that. When you
No, I'm
realize
saying.
they like.
Well, they do, but then there's going to be another one that doesn't, right? And then there's going to be one that does and the one that does. When you're doing individual, that's a different story. Now we're talking about a team, and I'm trying them to buy into something, right? We're talking about buying into something.
Yep.
We're trying to do that. So I can't be changing for this person. Now I can pull you in individually, right? And
That's
say,
what I'm saying.
yes.
Not in front of the whole team,
Yeah,
but like
see, that's-
one-on-one.
Right, and I can
Yeah.
pull. I understand. I got to understand where these players are coming from. So
Mm-hmm.
it becomes a tricky situation. But I cannot be politically swayed. Well, this is my opinion again.
Mm-hmm.
By all these, you can't do this, you can't do that. Who wants to do anything, right? If I'm not allowed to express,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
and challenge these
Yep.
kids, right? Then there's a problem because you can't say anything. And I do believe in positive reinforcement. I do not believe in negative. I know you remember things that are more negative, right?
Well,
You're
and-
meant
and-
to do
and
that.
I say that easily, but of course there are times that I have to check myself where I'm like,
Yeah.
yikes, I walked away from that session and I might have just been borderline like a little too much there, a little
Yeah.
borderline abusive. Like I need to. So I think
See, you
as a
probably
coach,
weren't. No, and you
But that's
probably
part of
weren't.
being a coach,
Yes.
is constantly reflecting and
reflecting.
adapting.
Yes, absolutely.
And getting
And
better.
exactly, and you ask that of your players.
Right.
Yeah.
You ask that of your players.
Yeah.
You
We're
expect
not
it of yourself
perfect.
as well.
God,
We're
no.
not perfect.
But again, are you going to change completely now because somebody on Facebook or somebody here, somebody say, and there are some things that are, I think, are concrete. But being positive, you were talking about being creative.
Yeah.
Is creative being positive?
Not all the time. Because creativity.
So positive is just a word, right? How we're taking positive, right? What does that mean? We can go into philosophy all day,
Yeah.
but that's the problem, is how people view what particular word you're saying. So I think creativity is moving forward, is thinking, right? Is
Making
moving,
mistakes
well, but you're moving forward from a mistake,
Yes,
right?
yes,
You're moving
yeah.
forward. We're getting past being creative, open to other things, open.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that, to
open.
me,
Yeah,
I'm just
agree.
using positive as good,
Right.
right? So negative, I'm using as harmful. Okay, that's the words I'm using right now. Okay, so being harmful or negative, I think slows the process down, right?
Yes.
Because then it puts
Yes.
fear. Then with fear comes anxiety.
Yep.
Right, and then with anxiety comes you holding back.
Yep.
Right, so I think they're the problem. So when we talk about positive reinforcement, yes, but we're not saying, hey, oh, way to drink that drink. Way to pick up, and you were good at that. I meant you know what I mean? Now the kid doesn't want to do, he didn't say that was good just doing this or doing that.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it's not that good. We're not talking about that
No.
being positive and, but again, that when you came to practice, I'm just, again, curiosity, when you came to practice, did you enjoy practice?
At Hopkins?
Yes.
I look forward to it every time.
Well, because my thought was, gosh, these kids, the load that you went through in Penn State, the load that you have on you with going to school, right? Graduating, peer pressure, finding out who you are, right? And now if I have to bring in that same experience at practice,
But practice was an escape.
that's what you hope it is. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
for me when I was
Which is
growing
Which is
up.
amazing. It's not like that everywhere.
Yeah. But I will say during like exams and like
tough.
rigorous academics, like it was really hard to focus at practice sometimes. I wanted to be there, but I was just like, oh my gosh,
Don't
I have
you
to like
think I know
study for
that?
calculus and like.
Then there was times where it was just, we were just letting go. It was fun.
Yeah.
Right? We would
Well,
have
you
this.
remember we all cried at practice sometimes because we were so stressed.
That part I could not get used to with the girl part. That part I
saw
could.
me, like,
yeah,
Jen
people
Holmes,
are
she breaking
and then
down and me.
I hate to say this, but I would go back and say, what if it's that time of month? This is how.
It could have been
and somebody
that
said,
too.
you know
and
what?
It was everything.
Do you remember Erin?
Yeah.
Erin's into the psychology bit, and
Yes.
this is what she does now, right? She's a therapist, right? But she works with kids, and we used to have these conversations constantly, and I could be kind of upfront with her, and I said, was it this? She said, yeah, very well, could be. I said, that I have to get used to. I said, I live with two girls, blah, blah. That I had to get used to, right? But it was
unexplainable when someone.
well, and I don't know how, you're asking, I can't explain. I'm so lost with that.
It's like, oh my gosh.
No, I just didn't know where to step sometimes. What did I do? I'd say, I'm back with my wife. What did I do? Okay, I guess it's my fault. But where were we just? That threw me off. Yeah, you got me worried. But anyway, that was your escape.
Yes.
That was your escape.
But there were times of stress.
And there's got to be. There's stresses everywhere. So again, we're just trying to say, listen, this is a place where you can do this. You can. Yes. Do I want more out of you? I do understand. I think we were at playoffs and you had to take a test in the playoffs, right? I can remember. You didn't take exams. The final. Yeah, or the Final Four. They had to go in a separate room. And so knowing this as a coach, as coaches, you gotta alleviate that stress somehow.
And it helped, and I will say it helped when we, like during those times, the practices were more like free play and less like brain over.
That's right. So you couldn't do it. You could see it's not working.
I could not even process something like that for my nervous system. I was just like, oh my gosh, I just want to play and enjoy.
And just,
that
that's right,
was what
movement.
helped.
But as a coach, you're limited amount of time. You got big games coming on. They didn't do this last game, right? They need to correct this. It was so you touch on it, for a little bit, and then that's it. At least I got it through. I got that little bit through, so now maybe subconsciously, and when they need it, it comes out, and then they can just movement of the body will make them feel a little bit better, dopamine releases and all that kind of stuff, and then they can forget stuff and go on their way, right? So
and that's knowing your player's environment and like who you're working with.
I think that helps. That definitely helps.
Like our course load and how crazy it was.
Yeah, I think there's course loads, not just courses. I meant education-wise. There's overload all the time, especially being kids in general, right? There's an overload constantly, and people I don't think realize the overload, the stresses that come about. Your stress could be different than your stress. Something triggers you more than, and then 100%. I don't know what your story is neither. I don't know what your family life is. I don't know what your financial, I don't know any of these things. And then you come here and then you have some idiot yelling at you or doing this or doing that. And who the hell wants to play?
Yeah.
And then now we're trying to make this team and I'm trying to become better and and it's not working. And now is Erica and Ashley there for me? Maybe not. Then I got to rely on, this is not, it becomes difficult. So how do you change it? We went through a lot of that. It's a long road, but it could be so rewarding. It could be fun, right? The biggest thing I miss is coaching, right? I miss coaching, right? I do, because there's so many people you can touch. There's so many people you can get through, with what you have to say, if it's the right thing to say, and if you're doing it properly, right? And you keep on trying and trying. I think and you get so much back from that, right? But it's not that easy, right? Because that's why we were saying in the very beginning of this, doing something you like, you're doing something you like. It's very difficult to find that, and if you can keep plugging at it, I'm not preaching to you, right? And there's going to be a part, though, I think. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking to my daughter, right? But there's going to become a part to where, do you stick by your guns, right? And what you honestly believe. And you're both very intelligent. I mean, you're both very well spoken. You've busted your ass. You're very accomplished at what you've done already. But what happens when you have to stick with your guns and yet you may lose that job? I'm not saying what to do. That's going to happen. And let me tell you, I've done that. And it's not, so it's a situation. That's a situation you were both probably eventually going to, and I have a much better feeling that you're going to handle it 10 times better than I do. Oh, trust me.
I hope so.
No, trust me. Trust me, you are.
I think it's just like, it's so easy in this system to, the youth soccer system, to lose who you are and let those distractions get to you. But I would rather lose my job or work doing something that I value and that I believe in, because I know there's going to be opportunities elsewhere, and there's going to be people that I vibe with or resonate with and see eye to eye with, and those are my people. And I can't please everyone, and I'm sure Ashley can speak to that, working at a club or working in college. You just got to stick to who you are, and sometimes it comes with a cost, but there will always be.
And then that's great that you think at this particular time, then the time you hit 30, 40, or whatever it is.
30 now.
Are you 30?
Yeah. I'm 32.
Oh, sugar. I didn't know that.
I really like you now that you
oh
didn't
my
think
gosh, see all these points I'm getting. I did not know that. Holy moly, you still could be my daughter. I thought you were like 25, 26.
Oh, wow.
But anyway,
High five.
there you go. I should be getting high five. No, so there's going to come a point, though, financially. This is great for me?
Yep.
And am I willing to lose that? And if you're both in good position, it's easier. I'll give you one more story, then we're going to have to cut this short.
Yep.
When I was coaching professionally, and at the time I was doing half decent. So it didn't matter whether I lost my job. I loved doing it. I wanted to do it so bad. I enjoyed doing it. But those players know I had their back. I said, I don't care. I said, I told them my situation. I said, I'm telling you, I've got your back. Right? If we do A, B, and C, and that was true. But it's easier then. And then when I, wasn't doing so well or whatever it is, you take a step back. I didn't, unfortunately, but it was good for me. I couldn't live with myself otherwise.
Yep.
I just couldn't. I couldn't go home. Yeah, I would have been better off financially, but I couldn't go home. I couldn't go home, sleep at night, and think, I don't believe it. I don't believe I did. So, but there's a fine line in there, and I'm sure from your perspective, sounds like it. You're going to do you'll figure that 10 times more.
Yep.
So anyway, I'd like to thank these two. Again, my guests have been great. And this was a little switch, right? So, but it worked out brilliant. So today's show is brought to you by Gunpowder Lodge. It is the #1 place to watch Premier League and all your soccer games in Baltimore County. For great food, great people, great atmosphere, featuring weekly chef specials. They also have a great setup with outside seating and a fenced-in children's playground next to the Gunpowder River. Happy hours, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., located at 10092 Bel Air Road, Kingsville, Maryland.